and I was instructed when I was going to BYU that basically I was just biding my time to be a wife. And one of the most popular majors for women going to BYU, who were all taught at the pulpit by general authorities and in their families, the most popular major for women at the time was actually it's a child and family science, and I had this like huge child and family. It was basically classes to learn how to manage a home and be a mom. So that was the class. The major. So my first declared major was psychology, because I enjoyed it in high school and I loved like the abnormal psych. I was very interested and motivated in that, knowing that they had told me that I could not do any photography, especially because my dad thought all arts were useless and worthless, and also that he's like, if you're gonna take any classes, you need to learn to be a secretary. This is somebody. And I think, if you were to ask or do any kind of research into his sister, Ellen Zirkel Larson, and his other sister, Irene Zalkin, was he a total misogynistic man? Absolutely. He was the youngest of 4 kids, and he was spoiled rotten, and he had very opinionated views on a woman's place. Did they evolve when my siblings were getting older? Absolutely. But this was the standard I was held to. So as a secondary consideration, I was looking into political science. That was I took a class and I loved it. And still, knowing I was forbidden from photography, which was my first passion. And am I gonna say it was a good idea for me to major in photography? I mean, I can't. I can't defend it, seeing like where it eventually went, but knowing I was expected to marry and be a mom. And when I went back to school, I was like, with 2 babies and had to do it, I was like, that's not this is a time to get a degree in whatever is the fastest thing, and get out and get a job and start earning to be a sole support for my family. And that's exactly what I did. But here I am. I have ended up in Escalante. I had told my kids all this time when they graduated, and we stayed in place for them to graduate in the Provo area, and from Timpview High School. I didn't really want to. I didn't want to stay there. One son was going on a mission, and my other child wanted to move in, made the choice to move in with his father, and as soon as he was going to graduate, I was like, I'm out of there. I'm not gonna stay there. And I didn't know where I was gonna go. There were other places I was considering going, But in Christmas of 2020, I end up in Escalante, and I have all my camera gear. Like, I have tons of antique camera gear. I still have all the knowledge. I have the books. I have tripods. I have continued with photography all these years, and I love film and darkroom, and I even had an enlarger. I had all equipment for a darkroom, and I knew how to set it up. So suddenly, I am in one of Utah's like most beautiful, scenic, but also remote places, and I was like, and I'm childless, and I'm like, this is the time. This is, we went there for Christmas break, and there was like just a majesty and a solitude and a beauty, and I was like, yeah, this is for me. So I rented this place. It was in the middle of COVID. It was an Airbnb, and nobody was going to Escalante, like, at all. So it was a killer deal. I'm renting, and then at the end of that year, visitors started to pick up, and I learned of another house in town, and it had sat vacant for a while. It was a house built like in the 1900s, like I think it's like 1916 or 1917. There's like a little plaque, and I will include it. But when I had been living like kind of on the outskirts of town, the first year, when I was living in the outskirts of town, I went to one like LDS ward, and it was great. It was fine. Like, I showed up on Sunday. I'm gonna tell you, like, in general, single women are kind of a plague, and nobody likes you to turn up, but I believed and I had faith. And then I moved into town, and so I'm in now a different like ward boundary, so I have like a different bishop. And that was the start of 2022. And I meet a lady in Relief Society, and she tells me she wants to set me up on a date. I have now been single, because my divorce was final in 2015. So like 5-6 years. One of the issues, especially if you're quick to blame yourself for everything, whether like it's because you want to be in control and like say, well, I made the mistakes, I'm to blame, and therefore like I can change it, so I'm not gonna have to go through another divorce. So she says that I was looking for a job, and she knew of a person that was single, a guy, and he wasn't like, he didn't belong to any religion, but she said he was hiring, that he had a perfume company that he was starting, and he was looking to hire someone. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great, because I'm looking for work. Now, previously, I strongly like believed in my ability for adaptation. I love marketing, and I'm gonna say, like, I'm really good at it for another company. Like, I can figure out any industry and market that like crazy. And then I had 2 marriages, both close to a decade, and they each owned their own company, and like I was a jack of all trades, whatever I had to be. And that included being someone who, was an event planner and like could hire and interview people. I could, work on office politics. I could, I don't know if it's called autodidact, but there was nothing I felt like I couldn't like learn and do. I mean, like I knew my limitations. I was never going to be great in math. I have like my things, and those were the things I loved. And I was like, no matter how old I get, like no matter what, like I'm good at these, and I can excel.